So I'm going to, is there anything
Okay, hello? I can't hear you. Hold on. Dom. Can you show me how to do the speaker deal again? Just one second, I'll remember. Yes. And John told me yesterday it wasn't gonna go off anymore once we set it. Okay. Oh, hold on, here or no?
Yes, you're going to go audio settings. Right there at the bottom.
Okay.
And then speaker.
Right, speaker?
Yeah, you're going to click that and do same as system. Test speaker. Up at the top.
Oops. Hello?
Increase your volume on your speaker. On the actual speaking unit.
Oh, hold on. Tell me. Okay, here it's all the way to the top. So here. No. Okay.
Okay. Test one. Click
Hello?
now
Yes.
stop recording. You see it says recording, now play. Okay, yeah. And then you see at the bottom right there where it says press and hold spacebar key to temporarily unmute yourself. That's if you, whenever you speak, are you accustomed to pressing the spacebar to talk?
No.
You just talk and then it, okay, yeah.
See like this? Yes. Can you hear me? Okay, great.
Okay, put back the mute thing.
Oh,
and
okay.
then see if he can hear you.
This one?
No, the mute.
Okay.
The one at the bottom. The one that you just unclicked.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, can you hear us
Hello?
on the?
Testing.
Say that again. In your, can you hear? Because by default, it shows that press space bar to mute. Can you speak, Selena?
Testing. Hello? Hello? Testing. Testing. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Okay, got it. Okay. Thanks.
Good morning, Marv. Can you hear me? Okay. There. Yes. Are we required to go back to all the bidders? We only had two. Yes. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yes. No, that makes sense to me.
Are you there? Okay. That's good. Okay,
Okay, what? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Unmute. There's no
Okay.
citizen communication for this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Whoa.
Morning, Marv. How
Good morning, Gene.
you doing, Ron?
I'm good, and yourself?
Good, good. Marv. Hi, Selena.
Whoa.
Good morning, Gene.
Morning.
How you doing, Ron?
I'm good, and yourself?
Yeah, Marv, I can hear the audio.
Good morning, Gene.
Morning.
Yeah, Marv, I can hear the audio.
There's a lot of feedback.
Yeah, Marv, I can hear the audio.
There's a lot of feedback.
Can you say something, Marv?
Good morning. I can hear you, Mark. Morning, Rolando, Mr. Rubiano, sir.
Morning.
Morning, Celine. How are you?
Morning. Doing fine, thank you.
Good morning, all.
What's up, Ron?
We're doing good here. Morning, all. What's up, Ron? We're doing good here.
Yeah, so just so you know, when I clicked on the link, it gave me an error message. But it said, do you want to proceed anyway? And I said, yes. So it got me in. but I don't know what the error message was. I didn't read it. It was red. It was pretty bright. It was on my screen, and I don't know whether somebody's hacked it or what, but that was a Zoom link. When I clicked on it, it immediately gave me a red, really bright red, pretty large message.
Morning. Morning. Yes. We have Edmoya. Edmoya. We have Danson.
Good morning. How you doing today? You can hear me, Marv? Okay. All right, thank you. Just sound check. Marv? Okay. I'll turn up. All right, they closer to it. Sound check. Okay. I'll turn up. All right, they closer to it. Sound check. Okay. I'll turn up. All right, they closer to it. Sound check.
Hello, Mr. Lennon.
Hi, Dan. How you doing?
I am well. Thank you for asking, sir.
Been reading about you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for asking.
Not doing a good job of staying out of the paper.
Been reading about you.
Yeah. Not doing a good job of staying out of the paper.
Rolando, where's your board? You're on mute. Rolando, where's your board?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Are you hearing everything twice?
Yes.
2 or 3 times, I think. Yeah.
Hearing everything twice?
2 or 3 times, I think. Yeah.
This is going to be an extra long meeting. This is going to be an extra long meeting.
It's recorded, obviously. It's recorded, obviously. It's recorded, obviously.
We're live now, unmuted on the orb. We're live now, unmuted on the orb. Why am I hearing that again? Why am I hearing that again?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
We got some feedback somewhere.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Is it picking up from the microphone from that screen or this thing? Is it picking up from the microphone from that screen or this thing? We're hearing it triplicates. This is all going out, by the way. The orb is on. It's not muted. You unmute me.
Yeah. You're unmuted. Go ahead.
Sure will. Sorry about this. Like I said, we spent a whole day yesterday to get it straightened out. Sorry about this. Like I said, we spent a whole day yesterday to get it straightened out. And apparently now, this morning, something's off.
Do you have two sets of speakers on?
No.
This is picking up. Okay, so your small speakers weren't plugged back into the computer there. There's absolutely no audio coming out of your laptop.
No.
Let's unplug those speakers. Okay, try talking now.
Test. Test.
Wait. Okay, say a word once without repeating it so we know if it's
Test. Okay.
Is that it?
I think it is.
Okay. I'm not sure what happened, but it was working working before we left.
I can't bring up this computer. I don't need it.
Sorry. It's Fly the Val.
What are you looking for?
I need to send myself this new link so I can connect the live feed. It's VIA. Yeah, the VIA. There it is. Sorry about that, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we had to unplug a separate set of speakers. It seems to be fixing the problem, although I'm having a little trouble hearing you guys. I'll see if I can turn my speaker up.
I think Dominic needs to mute his line. I think.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Dom, you need to mute. Dom, you need to mute. Mute your. It's doing it again. It's doing it again. Okay, guys, I'm so ready for in-person meetings now.
Marv, let us know when you're ready.
Will do.
That was it. I have the stream, monitoring the stream video, and I'm connected. That's why I wanted to do it on phone.
Okay.
And my speakers were picking it up.
Okay. All right. It sounds like we fixed the problem, so we're ready to get started. Let me bring up the share screen. I apologize for that.
You should be able to get your other computer on there, Marv.
I'm just going to leave it the way it is right now.
Okay. It was my microphone picking up the stream. That's what was creating the echo chamber.
Guess what? We're ready.
Well, good morning to everybody. This is Rolando Rubiano. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Valley International Airport Board meeting of Friday, September 18th, 2020. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Selena, would you help us with roll call?
You're on mute, Selena.
Unmute.
Okay, board members, can you hear me?
Yes.
Board members not present, Ms. Julie Gazelle Bettis and Mr. Richard Frankie, not present as far as board members.
Okay.
Okay, we have Mr. Gene McCullough, Mayor Boswell, Mr. Dan Sabb not present, airport staff, Mr. Esterly, Mr. Mustard, Mr. Millette, and I'm here. Guests, we have Mr. Loya, TSA, and Mrs. Arlene Gatsa, Gulf Aviation. And Ms. Julia Zelpetis is on now. Is there anyone else? Mr. Carlos Sanchez.
Good morning to everybody. Selena, Jean, I believe we've got a quorum.
We do, yes.
We do.
All right, moving on to that, if I may ask all present to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic which stands
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning. Just a quick welcoming to our city commissioners. Are any city commissioners here? Sometimes they kind of come in. Mayor, thank you. Dan Fabulous, thank you for joining us. I also want to extend a welcome to Arlene Garza and Mr. Ed Loya. Thank you for joining us. And Marv, to all your staff for joining us today. Do we have any citizen communication?
We do not.
Okay. If there's no citizen communication, Marv, if you'll move us into reports, please.
Okay, first up is the Transportation Security Administration. I believe Ed Loya is in the house, so I'll turn it over to Ed.
Okay, Mark, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by providing some passenger employment information. We continue, it's pretty much the same as last month. Nationwide passenger employment is averaging between 60 and 70% decreased traffic compared to this time last year. Those airports that have international flights, those are pretty much around 90% reduction in travel. For Valley International Airport, our employments are also about the same as the nationwide averages, but we continue to trend upwards each month. Last month in July, we had 7,900 approximately employments. Our preliminary estimates for August is going to be closer to 10,000 employments. So we're moving on up. The passenger checkpoint remodeling construction project is almost complete. I think all that lacks is some baseboards and signage, and I think the airport will probably be turning that over to us probably on Monday or Tuesday next week, which is perfect timing because our new CTX ray arrives on Wednesday for installation, and it should be ready to use by Friday of next week. It's going to take us around 2 months to train our staff, but we'll be constantly using it throughout the day. The new technology will reduce secondary bag searches and allow for standard screening passengers to leave their laptops and their carry-on bags. Those type of passengers, standard screening passengers, will still be required to divest the 311s. On COVID-related issues, TSA has had 1,864 officers and employees nationwide test positive for COVID, and unfortunately 6 have died as a result of the virus. And in the Rio Grande Valley airports, we've had 6 officers that tested positive and all have recovered. And I'm glad to say only 1 officer here at Valley International Airport has tested positive and recovered. Our officers continue to wear mandatory wearing of gloves, surgical masks, and face shields for officers during screening of passengers in the property. And we continue to enforce social distancing at the queue and the checkpoint. I'll be glad to take any questions from any board members. All right, well, thank you very much.
Ed, thank you. Mark?
I think we have Arlene Garza here, so if she wants to give us an update on Gulf Aviation, that would be great.
Good morning. Yes, good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yes, we continue to monitor activity on both the GA and the commercial side. Just over this past month, I will say that we've had on the airline side several flights that continue to fluctuate. I think everybody is still trying to find that balance and the norm that we're going to be able to operate in as we continue to live through this COVID pandemic. On the GA side, towards the end of last month, we started to see an uptake on, more increased activity. But as the media continues to influence the overall perception as to the dangers of the pandemic, we see it reflect on the downturns on activity. So, needless to say, at this month, we're still on that downturn, hoping that people will continue to use the private sector as an offset to reduction on the commercial side. It's just, we're really still playing it week by week. And it's just a really tough situation for everyone. And of course, having to keep our people updated, with safety procedures and protocol, and just making sure everybody is staying safe first and foremost, and working through this pandemic on a daily basis. That's all I have.
Thank you, Arlene. Rolando, we'll go ahead and move right into marketing if that's okay with you.
Please, sir.
Okay, we have a couple different slides instead of the slides we've had before. I know there's been some interest on what we're doing in terms of marketing. Recently, I've actually tasked our marketing specialist to come up with some new ideas and how we can get the word out. Our word is really primarily we're ready when you're ready. We need to get the word out, like the airlines, I believe, to show that our facilities are ready and as safe as possible for flying. So we're changing up our marketing a little bit, and I do have Dom on the line here, so he can give you kind of an overview of what's been going on the last few months. And I can tell you we've been ready to go, and then we had the surge, and then we thought, okay, we got to hold off a little bit, and I think now's the time, and both Dom and I agree now's the time to start getting the word out. So even more so, I think I do have an interview next week with the news media on safety precautions here at the airport, so I'm looking forward to that. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dom so he can answer questions and give you an idea of what we plan to do over the next few months. Dom, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So for this slide, as Marv stated, we did change our two. Normal slides up. I'm showing you what our current marketing channels is as far as us communicating our services and our destinations. We still have our Google AdWords going up, which has been giving us our same quality clicks, impressions for the low rates. We have our Facebook ads and our website. On the other side of things, we have been receiving free marketing from some contracts that have just expired, and our vendors allowed us to keep our ads running. That was our Wesco billboard for American, our Frontier billboard in Mission, and our 2 billboards in Brownsville, as well as the Valley Metro. So we still were being exposed. As Marv said, we did have an aggressive plan to go out for the We're Ready When You're Ready. And that was including some radio and television. Sorry, I've got 2 computers here, so I'm not sure if anybody's asking questions.
We're following along, John. We can hear you.
So the current marketing channels that we're going to be doing is we're going to be including a new geo-tracking feature to our online. This geo-tracking will be deployed in-house as well. It's going to allow us to do direct messages to anyone within our geo-tracking area, and that's going to be an alert that goes to their cell phone. Our first phase is going to be as passengers come within the airport terminal. They'll receive a message informing them, welcoming them to Valley International first, informing them of our COVID response, as well as giving them other information to airlines that they may need. That's going to be our first phase of deployment. Once that is, we can gauge the success of that and the feedback, then we're going to go ahead and turn that loose and start doing it on other areas to where we can market and just be top of mind awareness to future passengers. We also will be increasing our Google AdWords a little bit more aggressively with a larger budget to concentrate on those that are frequent travelers, and maybe during March for those that will consider to do some luxury traveling. On the traditional side, for 5 months between October and March, we're going to be running radio. We're changing up our voice. Marv is taking on becoming our brand. We're going to be doing 30-second spots of radio with Marv communicating the message as well. We're going to be doing a 30-second spot on 23, Channel 23, Channel 4, Channel 5, mainly around blocking out the news sections with a message from Marv, as well as 15-second spots with some talent that we were going to have for the airport. So we'll be pretty much trying to saturate online, via cell phone, radio, and television, as well as having the complimentary outdoor that we've been receiving at no cost all the way coming up till March. This will all begin in October.
I can say if you all have a problem with me being the talent, because I definitely don't have any talented skills when it comes to this, I don't believe, but Dom seems to think differently, so if you all have an objection to that, I'm okay with it. I guess not.
Have to up our hair and makeup budget.
Yeah, lots.
Dom, I have a question
Yes, sir.
About geo-tracking. When a passenger, I guess help me understand, but are you suggesting when a passenger walks into our airport, they'll receive a text message welcoming them to the airport?
Yes, sir. That's what will be. It's a geo-tracking alert message. So we're going to tweak the settings to where it's not too intrusive, but where the passenger, the first time they enter, based off either their unique phone number or their GPS location, they'll receive a message just greeting them, welcoming them in, reminding them that they have to wear a face mask and things like that nature.
Okay. I guess to tread lightly, I think that could be perceived as privacy intrusion, and for people that aren't expecting a text. If the first question I'd have is how'd they get my number?
Right.
And some kind of spam or.
Other airports are deploying this where for their post security to where you can get discounts on food, beverages, and shopping, and that's what I've been looking at and seeing how they're deploying that in those airports.
Thank you.
This would be a good opportunity to extend our geo-tracking all the way to Grind Street and letting passengers driving our way be aware that they are headed to the airport of their choice.
That's the beauty of this is we actually get to pinpoint and create the map. So we're going to start on a small location here, probably just do the FIS building and try to learn it as best as possible, and then expand it. So if we can create just the entrance area to where they come in and kind of gauge it from that and see what the response is.
I don't know about you all, but if my phone pinged me like that when I were going into an airport, my first thought would be, oh my gosh, how do they know I'm here? And how do I turn this off? To me, I kind of agree with Ricky. It just seems kind of invasive. I don't have a good feeling about that. I know that's where technology is going, and I know that's how things work, but I personally would not be comfortable getting that message on my phone.
I might be comfortable getting it when I'm at the airport, but much less comfortable getting it when I'm not at the airport and I'm nearby the airport. But I think it is kind of weird too.
You get the message when you get close to Mexico. There's a ping. Okay, welcome to Mexico. I mean, that's the same thing you're talking about, right, Donovan?
Yes, sir. It'd be the same concept as the text message that you receive going into Mexico, or your Amber Alert text messages.
It's a push notification, and then there's an opt-out.
Yes, there would be an opt-out.
Like immediately after the first one, I can opt out.
Correct. Similar to where they do stop. I think you guys have seen some of those with the new campaigns where you get the messages where people are. So it's something that's being used now more broadly.
Well, let me know how it works out.
Yeah.
You can be my guinea pig.
Are we going to track the response to this? So, I mean, if too many people, I'm probably just a dinosaur, but if there are people that don't feel comfortable with it, at least I'm glad there's an opt-out. So the first time you get it, it's going to give you an option to opt out?
Yes, that's part of it. And the nice thing about this type of marketing is it's all there's reports and analytics. So we can see who opts out, we can see who's responsive. If we provide a link to the website that gives you all the information to the airlines, It's not to be intrusive, it's just more of a greeting and giving them information.
I think if you couple that with the right message, instead of using words like mandatory, using words like we encourage you to, the messages will be better received. But if they're pushed on you and the message is providing mandates and edicts, it's not going to be very welcoming. So I just trust airport staff will manage the message correctly to get the result we need to keep everybody safe, but be a constant welcoming to their terminal of choice.
Yes, sir. That would be our strategy.
And I still think the geo-tracking should start at Grimes Street. Ricky, we could solve several problems all at once.
Chairman, I got a question.
Please, by all means.
And what's the initial investment to launch this? And are you going to kind of do it on a weekly basis and do they sell it by a certain amount of notifications that are pushed out? We're going to try to cap it at like 1,000 a week, or
we're still we're going to be looking at there's several third-party companies that provide this service. We're going to go the route of doing it in-house, utilizing Google's features. So as far we're very fluid on what kind of budget we're going to have, and since we're doing it in-house, there's not going to be any 6-month contract. We can look at it and test it for a week. We can cap we can increase, decrease our budget on it, and we can stop it at any moment. So our first phase will be to test the waters here with in a certain area of the FIS and see how that works, gain response, and then maybe invite you guys to try it out as well. But right now we're still looking and seeing what other airports are doing, and kind of seeing this as an opportunity for us just to communicate our messages already to a captive audience.
Hey, Dominic, along those lines, Tito here, and forgive me, I had a little bit of feedback. Forgive me if you've already mentioned this, but how do we measure success?
We can measure success, I guess, by what Vicky said would be if there's an opt-out feature and more people are opting out from those that receive it. So if we have a high opt-out rate, that means that it's intrusive and people may not like it.
So who would get this message? Would it, if you were to begin at Grimes Street, it would be any person that happened to come in that area that had cell service?
Well, we wouldn't. Our strategy wouldn't be to use it at Grimes. It would just be to the messages that we're looking at posting would be, reminding them and encouraging them to practice social distancing and wearing a face mask at the airport. So if you're driving by the airport, this geo-tracking technology is very defined. It would be as you go through the threshold of the door. So after you enter the airport, that's when you receive the message. Driving by, you wouldn't receive the message. It wouldn't be anything like that. Other industries that are deploying it, obviously, are banks, restaurants, retail shopping. If you go into certain parts of those areas, you'll receive a message that either talks to you about getting a discount or something that's on sale. Hotel industries are also using this as well. So if we wanted to deploy this in the Minneapolis area, if somebody's looking at if they're at the airport and you know that they're going to a beach or a tropical area, we can technically deploy this and remind them that South Padre via Harlingen is an option for them to fly nonstop.
I think to answer Tito's question on success, probably see what the the usage rate, reception rate would be, and then I think you can then when gauge that, then we can maybe do some type of offerings, as Dom said, start pushing notifications about maybe certain destinations and things like that, and then you could measure those campaigns as success. And this is something I think the car industry uses a lot. So while I'm sitting in Ford dealership A, I might get a push notification about a better offer at Ford dealership B. And so,
Oh, wow.
so if you go into First Community Bank and you try to get a loan, you might get I'm just playing. But that's the strategy that eventually could go out.
Should we deploy this to the Brownsville and McAllen airport instead?
Well, I think that's probably maybe what they're thinking. I don't know. I don't want to put words in their mouth or answer the question. Sorry.
As far as my discussion, Tito, to answer your question, the capabilities are there, but that would be a Marvin decision.
Okay, go with it. I mean, to McAllen and Brownsville, I mean, go with it.
Okay.
Maybe if you want people to stay, the first thing that they'll get is a coupon for a discount for some food or something to drink at our airport. I think that might help a little bit.
So there's a lot of possibilities, as Nick stated. We could do discounts on parking. We could remind people of food offerings, things like that. But right now, phase one is, as Marv and I discussed, or as we kind of put together, would be just to test the waters and use this opportunity to give a COVID message. If the deployment's good and the cost per impression is good, and we discover that it's the way it works, there's a lot of we'll be able to report back to you, show you reports. Okay, this is what our cost per impression is. This is how it's coming in. This is how it opts in. This is how people opt out. And then slowly decide if you guys want to go to Grimes Street or go to Boca Chica or go to 10th Street or even Westheimer in Houston. We can do anything we want to.
I might add in here is that I think we need to set our bar high, and I don't want to get into tit for tat with either of the other airports locally. We're here to provide a message to our customers, which do incorporate the entire Rio Grande Valley, particularly for airlines that service just Valley International Airport. So we're going to tread lightly, move forward slowly, but aggressively in ways, but particularly around the airport is what our thoughts are. And then we'll see what it does for us, and if it's well received, then we can expand.
I would be really careful to make sure that whatever you're communicating is at least telling the person that's receiving the message that there's some benefit to them, because when I get to the airport and I have my kids running all over the place and I'm trying to check in and then my phone goes off and I want to check that, I don't want it to be something that's for the benefit of somebody else. And I like the idea about the social distancing messages, but I'm sure I'm going to hear that on the loudspeaker too. I'm going to hear it. I'm going to see a sign right there. And so I think that's already going to have been well enough communicated. And so maybe when I reach down for my phone and find out that I've gotten this message that I really didn't need to get, it will have a coupon or something that will benefit me,
Yeah. And
otherwise I'm going to be frustrated that I was distracted by that message.
I envision more, of a message that shows it may say that we're doing everything we can to ensure the safety of our passengers. Welcome to Valley International Airport. I think we're going to be more on that lines, but we've got some work to do as we move forward on this, and all these comments are great for us to have as we move forward with this.
I have a question. Would this message be across to our neighbors and our tenants like TSPC, MMA, ULA, and so on?
I think what you're saying is, will they receive it every time they come in the terminal building? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I didn't know what are the barriers.
Well, it's wherever we.
Inside the terminal.
It's wherever we set the barrier. Wherever we set the fence. that and delineate that geographical location. Once you cross it, then you're going to get the message. So if they're at TSTC, they're not going to probably get the message by any means every time they're walking into campus. It's like Dom said, it's really to come in the threshold of the terminal building and give them that message. And that message may change over time. It may be a safety, security, a welcoming will probably always be part of the message. And we're going to have to play with it, see where it goes.
Yeah, ideally, we would test if we can create the map or the fence around FIS. Then that means that I can go and we can create the map around our gates. So to answer Julie's question, it could be a post. Once you've already settled in, got your kids up past TSA, that's when we can give the message and apply a coupon to go into Tailwinds. It's really not to be too intrusive or to be, it's really just testing it and trying to get our maps as small and defined as possible, and then going to a phase 2, phase 3, and looking at doing reminding people of our destinations.
I would be much more receptive to a text message when I'm already through TSA and maybe I'm sitting down and hopefully I've been on time for my flight and I have a minute to relax before then, and most people are doing that these days. I would be much more receptive to that, and then somebody says, hey, go get 20% off a cup of coffee or a beer or something, then I would say, well, why not? Maybe I feel good now.
Right. That's the long-term goal. That would be the long-term goal of being able to offer value. And it's mainly like just these messages have to, as you state, offer value, some type of value, whether it's a coupon or a reminder or just informing them of other destinations from Holland.
Any other questions on the marketing?
Just one question. Julie, please go ahead.
I don't know if this is the right time to ask it, or if there's going to be another topic, but I had a question about actually feeling safe about flying, and I don't know if we're going to talk about that later, or if that would be part of the marketing.
Julie, that's coming up a little later.
Okay.
Marv and I spoke about your thoughts, and Marv, I think you've got that.
Yeah, I think Julie's talking about the marketing message too, and and that would be here. I mean, like I said moments ago, that I do an interview next week with a news station to go through the terminal building, talk about the things that we put in place in order to keep them safe. And part of this message that Dom's talking about, we've got some videos that we're looking at doing as well. That will actually be ready to distribute that message as well, including the radio advertising. That's really part of our campaign in marketing is to make sure that the passengers know that we're doing everything on our side. We got to do what the airlines are doing in a lot of ways in making sure that we gain the confidence by showing them everything that's being put in place.
Because I don't feel that safe now, and I think that if you want more people to fly, then that the message really has to be getting out there that you're safe to fly. I already have tickets booked for December, and I wish that I felt better about.
Well, maybe we will go through some of the things that are being put in place a little further in the presentation, and feel free at any time to give me a call, and we can discuss it and walk through the terminal building. I offer that to anyone that's listening online. If they have questions, to contact the airport, and we can. See if we can answer those questions for them. I can tell you this terminal building has never been cleaner. It's there's a lot of measures that were put in place. I think more so here than anywhere else. And I welcome anybody that's listening online to give us a call if they have any concerns, so that we can tell them what we put in place to make sure that they're as safe as possible.
Hey, Marv. Real quick, two different topics here. One is Julie's comment about the safety. I can only speak for myself, but I would think that, I have no problem going into the terminal building today. I think the the concern or the apprehension is in actually getting on an airplane. I don't think the terminal building, the lobby, the bathrooms, the ticket counters, I think are a concern. So I don't know if we can somehow help the airlines, or I don't know if you know what the airlines might be doing to reassure people that it's okay to get on an actual plane, because they go to HEB or Walmart or to work every day, and so the building and all the points that I'm sure you're going to make next week are going to be strong, and they're going to help. But I think the apprehension is actually getting on the airplane and being on it for an hour or two or longer, number one. Number two, on the marketing side, I don't know if it's possible, Dom, maybe you know this or not, but if someone gets on an airplane in McAllen, we probably don't want to do a push notification the moment they enter that terminal. However, is there a way to delay a message for 12 hours or 24 hours and give them a push notification 12 hours later or 24 hours later, just to remind them Harlingen is here and all of our airlines and all of our stuff? I think that would be probably a strategy that could have worked.
There's I can research that and find out for you, but there is a way to do a delay. If I can create the geofencing map around just our gates, then that means I can probably create it around any particular area, since it's using longitude and latitude. One of the things that I was thinking, or that as an option, was during peak seasons at the island, just doing hotels and reminding those that flew in that Harlingen is an option to fly back home to their destination. And we can do the same thing with conference rooms and anything else that attracts. You can do hotels all around the valley, your major nice ones as well.
Ron, got a question.
Go ahead.
Having Marv be the voice obviously means we're going to brand him, or not brand him, but put that he is the airport director, right? And that gives authority, that gives more importance to the message that he's saying about the cleanliness from ticket counter to seat, that whole pathway to get onto the plane. That's the thought, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, the only one that would be maybe a little better would be the mayor. So just throwing that out there.
Well, we could do if the mayor's available, we could do a joint spot with Marv and the mayor together, or we could just do the mayor separately. I'm
just throwing it out there. I'm just saying that if it comes from a point of authority and to reinforce the message, then having the airport director is a very smart move. We do it with CEOs, etc. And so the next one above that would be the mayor. So just throwing it out there.
We're Marv talks a lot with passion about what our strategy is, and after listening to Sergio on the radio and Talent, it makes more sense to use someone with authority making that heartfelt message. So we'll get with the mayor and see if he'd like to do a spot for us.
I've got.
I'm happy to help in any way. I appreciate Nick suggesting that I have any authority at all, because at home I really feel like I have absolutely no authority, and that's helpful.
That's why you work so much.
I appreciate it.
I feel the same way, Mayor.
Well, I think that one other thing that you guys ought to try to address is, I feel really safe going into Valley International. I think that from what I've learned at these meetings and heard about what a great job we're doing is very nice, but I don't know that I feel safe going into other airports, especially when I have a layover in Houston. I'm sure that they may be safe, but I just don't know that. Nobody's communicating that to me, I wish that I could know that I would be safe in my layover airport and picking up my bags, being on the plane. I think that those are all big, and I have tickets booked for the beginning of December, and I am really scared to go. I wish I weren't so scared.
That's an interesting comment. I appreciate that, and I'll share that with the TCAA, the Texas Commercial Airports Association board. We had a meeting yesterday. I can assure you that the airports all over the state of Texas and the United States, for that matter, and the world, are taking it unbelievably seriously. Airports have never been cleaner nationwide. Everyone's attacking it pretty much the same way under the CDC guidelines. And again, we'll talk about that a little later in the presentation. But I just personally really feel that the airport is probably one of the safest buildings that you're going to be in. When you compare it to other places essential places that you have to go.
I'm sorry to belabor this even longer, but do we hand out face masks to people that don't have them? Are they available at the airport?
We do have face masks available at the airport. All the airlines actually have face masks as well. We don't display them out there. We haven't had one person request one. It just seems like it's becoming the norm, and everybody knows that they have one. But we haven't had one incident at this point where we had to actually tell somebody that they need to wear a face mask inside a terminal building. So that I know of. People are compliant, much more now than they were in the beginning. It's just becoming the norm, and you kind of feel out of place without one in a lot of ways when you walk into a building.
You could use your VIA branded mask to go into another airport and feel safe.
Yeah, that's definitely an idea, and it's one that we've talked about.
Two ideas of discussion for marketing is a little bit of channeling Richard Franke in his absence. Can we use the geo-tracking or the geofencing to promote the Valley International Airport's Aerotropolis? Could we create an area where if somebody's driving around that open land out there that's been identified for the Aerotropolis, something that kind of gives them a link to our renderings, our availability of engagement with investors that might be interested in looking around for land?
Yes, we can do that. We can also, if it's identified conferences across the nation where they have that type of, if they, when they come back into play, we could possibly do a geofencing there to where we could, as those exhibitors or attendees are walking around, give them a message as well. So the capabilities of this can be as really, it's advanced. As Nick says, this was kind of born out of the car industry, attacking each other from one lot to the next lot. And it's now evolved to where it's kind of being useful for people that are seeking information.
I would also say there is a cost to it, so we just have to weigh the economic cost of putting geofence in an area that not many people are at right now. We want to probably target people in a conference or something like that related to development.
And are we having something in particular in marketing the Thanksgiving? Hopefully, the Thanksgiving increase in flights and travel, something more specific to that holiday, while addressing Julie's obvious and fairly important kind of guiding a lot of people who might want to travel to see families, but are facing the same concerns Julie's facing. Something real specific for Thanksgiving travel.
For television or online, or what are your thoughts in a message?
My thoughts are addressing Julie's concerns now for preparations and planning. Several of us are starting to plan what to do for Thanksgiving. A lot of us have kids in college, and some colleges are actually dropping Thanksgiving down to a single day to entice the kids the college students not to travel. And so a lot of us are going to be traveling to them.
Yeah, I think,
and,
Rolando, I think that's exactly what our messaging is. I mean, it probably not too is specific, but the holiday season is a good idea. Both Christmas and of course Thanksgiving and the New Year, to address in this these marketing efforts on safety. So that's a great point, and that's really the intent of getting not only them but the Winter Texans coming in and everybody traveling through our peak season coming up. Get the message out that we're safe, as safe as possible, and I do also appreciate all the comments, particularly the airlines, and maybe talking in that message that the airlines are doing a lot, certain things to make sure that they're safe on the aircraft too. This is all great discussion, and we'll continue to engage you guys for these ideas.
And I think it's a really important discussion to be having, because I watch the news all the time. I read articles. I look out for things about airports, and there's some of it out there. But for just a person that's not really paying attention to that kind of stuff, I don't think that it is at all clear to the American public, whether or not flying actually is safe, and what like precautions the airports are taking. I don't know if there's anybody out there that's tracking people getting sick from flying on planes. I know at a Kansas City Chiefs game the other day, they were able to identify somebody that had coronavirus that was in the stands, and then the next day everybody that came near him was notified. I don't know if there's any mechanism out there tracking that. I don't understand what the status of flying in the United States is right now, and if I don't understand it, and I'm looking for it, I don't think that most people that you want to buy tickets understand it, and I don't think I understand whether or not it actually really is safe. I think that it is, but I wish that somebody would communicate that to me, like in a verifiable way, trust but verify. That's what I would like to be. That is what I think would bring my confidence level up, and what might bring the confidence level of other people who might want to fly, up is to be able to see what's really out there.
Those are great comments, and the airline industry, I know are trying to get that message out. Obviously, they're not getting it out to everyone by any means, and but that's their number one goal right now. So I'm sure you're going to see more of that. But we'll make sure that in our messaging that we not just talk about the airport, but we talk about the airlines and their measures as well. They are different between airlines. All the airlines have on their site, and again, we'll talk about it a little bit, a web page that tells you exactly what they're doing, from electrostatic spraying to temperatures checks to continued cleaning between flights during the day as well. Of course, masks, all those things. But each carrier is a little bit different because they're all following under their own, with their own personnel, the CDC guidelines, so there's going to be some differences.
Well, maybe we could have some place on our website, or maybe we already do, where we could direct people to go look and say, hey, we know that you might be nervous about flying. We think that it's safe out there and people are making it safe. And if you want to go learn more about it, you can go to our website, and we'll have links to these different organizations and businesses that are taking all these precautions. So then people can go themselves and see that they're going to be safe, because I really think that we probably would be safe to fly. I just can't see that for myself yet.
We link out to the airlines' websites so that they have their own unique COVID message. So not to contradict or put ourselves in a spot, we just communicate what their COVID message is.
Yeah.
Good idea.
United has their own, Frontier, Sun Country, all their policies are uniquely different. All the same, but all slightly different.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could be a wealth of information where people could go to our website and click on links and learn. I think that would be great. Or maybe there's a website that already does that that's not really that well known, and we could direct our the people that we're communicating with to go to this website where they can become better informed.
Good idea, Julie.
Marv, thank you. for the sake of scheduled time in this meeting, let's see if we can address a little bit more of this in agenda item number, I think it's 9. Let me get to the agenda here. 9B, and in the meantime, if the board's okay, let's move into the progress reports, because we really do have some additional information coming on COVID-19 updates.
Okay,
That's okay. Let's move it forward.
Sounds great. August, we actually were a little bit surprised. Of course, in July we saw that kind of stall, and we'll see that a little bit in the slide. But August was a pretty good month considering. We were at 10,957 passengers. That's up from a little under 8,000 last in July actually. Southwest was down 64%. United was down 49%. Surprisingly, American was actually only down 21% over last year. Really has a lot to do with the right size of aircraft and capacity in the market for them during this period. Frontier, they had reduced flights to once a week, so they're down 83%. On a lighter note, for the year, we're down 37.8%. Considering what we've just gone through and continue to go through, that's really not a bad number. On the right, you can see our market data, market share data. Southwest was actually at 59% in 2019, now dropped to 52%. American and United really splitting the market 22%. The American coming on pretty strong. And of course, the 11% drop in Frontier has much to do with the fact that they reduced to one flight a week during this pandemic cycle. So that's where we are on enplanements. Just a pictorial of our dip and slow recovery. You can see there in April was our worst month at 2,533 total passengers getting on an aircraft. May, we started rebounding in May. June, the Texas governor opened the state. Then we had the surge in July, and so we kind of fell backwards a little bit. But it was good to see August, which is typically lower than July and June, of course, in May. But it continued to rebound fairly strong, nearly 11,000 enplanements in August. Outbound seats available on the left there, August 2019 versus 2020. 2019 is in blue. You can see that Southwest was down 51% in total capacity in the market. Southwest is down from 6 flights to 2 flights a day right now. Through August, they were actually at 3 flights a day. Correct me if I say something wrong, Jose. But United was down 35.83% in capacity and seats in the market. American only down 23%, and of course again Frontier down 72% with their reduction. You see to the right the load factors. Last year 67% with Southwest in August. Again, not one of our strongest months as kids are typically going back to school. We were down at 49% load factor, and we also have to realize too that Southwest is also reserving the middle seats. So this is this graph is always, it's got a formula in there that's taking the total seats on that aircraft when they figure these. This load factor is much higher if you were taking out the middle seats, so be aware of that. United was at 61% last year, 48% this year. Frontier was at 85%, now 51%. And last, American doing it unbelievable again with that capacity in the market, just right-sizing aircraft and flights. 70% last year and 72% load factor this year. Compared to the other...
Mark, excuse me, Mark, can you all calculate that the load factor for Southwest based upon the elimination of the middle seat?
I think
load factor is really, calculate that just to the percentage It'd be interesting to see that.
Yeah, we can definitely.
I think it's got to be really high.
Yeah, we do see daily the flights, and they're fairly full because of the middle seat. Again, that's why it's down. But I don't see, Mayor, why we couldn't do that. I'll get Jose right on it. It just depends on the size of the aircraft and the middle seat. We just take those out. So it shouldn't be that hard of a task to do. But we'll go back and do that and send it out to everyone.
And they've extended that through November 30th. I think we just got it. While I was sitting here, I got an email from Southwest Airlines saying they've extended it to November 30th.
That's correct. So here you can see again the dip of all three airports in the Rio Grande Valley, and us climbing out. We do not have July and August numbers from McAllen. They've been really slow coming for some reason. They should be in by now, but they're not really forthcoming with those numbers. And the same with Brownsville. We have July's only because we were able to obtain them a different way. And August, we're waiting for those numbers. But, just as a comparison, we're all climbing out. McAllen, I think, and us are climbing out pretty close to the same. And Brownsville, a little less at this point, looking at the graph. All airports, but in terms of county in the Rio Grande Valley, again, the same kind of thing. You can see us in the light blue, and then us along with Brownsville for Cameron County in the purple, and Hidalgo County or McAllen in the orange, and combined is the yellow in the RGV. So until we get those numbers from them, you're not going to see, of course, this graph completed in July and August. So we're patiently waiting for those. On a bright side, our cargo has recovered fully and then some. Right now, cargo inplaned into the aircraft is up 8.9% in August. And so we're only down 3.1% compared to last year. So that's just extraordinary. We got deplane cargo, which is up 21% or 27% in August, and up 5.9% for the year. So cargo, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with whether online packaging or special materials coming in, medical or supplies and other things. So it is definitely rebounded and doing well. Our fuel uplift, commercial, as Arlene was expressing this morning, we're still suffering with capacity in the market, meaning additional aircraft, with Southwest being down from 6 flights to 2 flights now, and 3 particularly in August. You can see that's going to affect fuel sales into commercial aircraft. So military-wise, Gulf Aviation last year had the contract. This year, Sun Valley has the contract for military fuel. Military is flying, and as you can see here, they're doing very well. And I'm sure what I've heard is Sun Valley has reached out to them, the military, to try to entice them to fly here. So that's a good thing. They're doing well there. General aviation, Gulf Aviation was actually up 11.2% over August of last year, so that's very positive. Sun Valley was up 5.9%, and it has a lot to do again with the private aircraft. Companies and people that have aircraft are utilizing them more frequently now to get around. But overall for the year, for August, we were down 32.9% in fuel uplift, or 20.6% down for the year. That's the progress report. Any questions? If there's no questions, we'll go on the consent agenda. Rolando?
Yeah, no, thank you, Marv. I appreciate it. We're moving on to item number 6, consent agenda. Consider and take action to approve the regular airport board meeting minutes of June 19, 2020, and consider and take action to approve the monthly financial report for the period ending May 31st, 2020. Are there any council members or board members, forgive me, that need to discuss any of these consent agenda items separately? Hearing none, does anybody have a motion to approve the meeting minutes and the financial reports as provided by staff.
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion from Mr. Larman, second from Ms. Moore. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes and the financial reports as provided by staff, say aye.
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 Any opposed by like sign? Thank you. Motion passes. Item number 7, Marv, consider and take action to accept or reject a change order from Tremco for the roof rehabilitation project.
That's not the one we have. I apologize. I'm not sure. That sounds like last month's agenda. Right? The agenda item number 7 is consider and take action to accept and reject airport bids for airport liability, flood, hail, and windstorm insurance. I apologize if that's actually went out in the package. It's been a crazy week trying to get this thing together, but that is the item that should have gone out to you.
That's what I see, Mark, the hail and windstorm insurance.
Okay, great. So moving on with item number 7, we bid the different portions of our insurance, put it out there, and received numbers and bids. The area in green, or the company in green, is the one that we're recommending that you approve today for flood insurance, American Casualties Insurance, carrier with Lloyd's of London. And you can see there the premium of $13,162 with the limits $3.65 million with a deductible of $1,250. And I'll go through all these, and then we can to make a motion, I guess, at that point. One thing that we're not going to show you just yet is the airport liability insurance. We had 2 bidders on this insurance, and one thing that we learned by bidding this was there was a huge jump in premium from $20 million of insurance to $25 million of insurance. We had the requirement for $25 million for doing ground handling for Frontier Airlines. The rest of the airlines are below that 20 million mark, the requirement. So at that point in time, we saw of the significant increase in premiums from 20 million to 25 million. So we went back. Jose had contacted our Frontier. He told me this morning when he walked in the office that he just received this morning approval to go to 20 million. So that will significantly reduce this item down so that we can reward it. I can't, since it's a closed bid, I can't put the numbers up here of where we were. We'll go back to these 2 bidders and get a $20 million limits, and bring that either you can authorize myself to choose between those, or we can have a special meeting next week in order to approve the airport liability insurance. But it meant a lot. I mean, it was a huge amount of money, so it made sense for us to do that and save the money in our budget. So the last one there is the airport property insurance, wind and hail. That I believe, and Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, that is our current carrier, and for wind and storm and hail, and the limits are 48 million, premium 240,000, and a deductible of 25,000 for the wind and hail insurance. So we'd like to at least approve the other 2 and either give authority to me to select the airport liability insurance from the 2 when we get that, or have a special meeting next week in order for the board to make that recommendation and selection. On the right, you can see, and Ron was pretty close of the numbers, a comparison from 2019 to 2020. You can see that there is a significant increase, and we'll let that at that. Okay.
Did Ron hit those numbers pretty well on the budget? Is that what you're saying? He thought they were gonna be that high?
Yes.
We-
Go ahead, Ron.
When we did the budget, yes, I had already received information from our carriers. And the one that's listed there, Victor, that is our current carrier. So I was already advised that, as you recall, we had a 3-year premium previously where there was no increase in rates. And I was advised that these rates would be going up substantially in the tune of 30 to 35%, because we didn't have any increases over the last 2 years. So what's happened based on the market with all of claims, including us, because we did have a couple of large claims here, that's why our rates have gone up. Now, one other thing that I've noticed is the buy down. We used to have a buy down to $5,000. They're not offering that anymore. What they're offering is a buy down to $25,000 per occurrence. So the only risk that I see on that one is, and it's substantial, that portion of the policy costs about $70,000. We have a terminal that's worth approximately $30 million that we're insuring it for. And if you take 2% of that, that's, if you just take the normal policy, which they'll cover 2%, other than 2%, that's a $600,000 cost to us up front in the event that something happens here. But that's the biggest issue that I see. So if you don't want that coverage, to bring it down to $25,000, then we could substantially reduce this price.
$600,000 is a lot of money. So it's the staff's recommendation that the flood insurance be awarded to American Casualty and that the property insurance be awarded to the Victor Group. Is that true?
That's correct.
I'd make that motion. And into that motion, I'd also, for the liability insurance, authorize the staff to accept the bids, make the decision, but prior to notifying the low bidder that information is at least sent out to the board of which one is recommended for the liability insurance. But the staff go ahead and approve the agreement or award the bid. I'm sorry, that was the motion.
So I've got a motion. Does anybody have a second?
I'll second that. And so just to clarify the motion, so I understand, on the liability side, we're expecting Marv to receive the bids, make a recommendation to the board, right? Or are we giving him, are we delegating authority to take the low bid?
Giving him the authority to take the correct bid. It may not necessarily be the low bid, but
the more appropriate.
But he notify us prior to awarding that bid, so that if we have an objection to it, then we can say, wait a minute, let's have a meeting over that.
Second.
So we've got a first motion by Mr. Lon and a second by Mr. Leal. Let's entertain a little bit of discussion here. So just for my sake, I'm a little concerned in the mechanism of staff taking that. I don't disagree with the motion, to be honest with you. I just don't know how to manage, should the board have an objection, would a board member have an objection, how to communicate that, how to give staff clarity of authorization to move forward. Marv, are you expecting something unclear or of a specific concern in the results of this liability bid? for
No.
liability insurance?
No, I'm not expecting any. I think it's going to be quite apparent once we receive these bids on who we should be selecting. But you know, until
Seems like you could just send out an email advising the board of your intent to award the bid to the low bidder XYZ, and if anybody has any objection, let us know within 3 days, and you can schedule a meeting and postpone the award. Otherwise, give them 48 hours to object and request a meeting.
that sounds reasonable, Mayor.
That satisfies me. Do we have any further discussion?
Are we in discussion?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any problem with what we're doing going forward, and I intend to vote on it. I do think that we should start planning on self-insuring for that $600,000, $70,000 to insure 600,000 minus 25 is very expensive. And so I would suggest that we start planning on self-insuring by not going naked, but just start putting away $70,000 or $60,000 a year for 10 years, $70,000 for 8.5 years, and you'll have that in your investment pool running, but you've got that to pay that bill. That's a very expensive buy down, in my opinion, for something that rarely happens.
That's a great point, Bobby. You're right.
Marv, if you and staff can consider Bobby's point and bring that back as a separate agenda item when you've given it due consideration.
Will do.
Rolando, I don't think it needs to be a separate agenda item. It just be something that we plan on in the budget. Whether we're almost to the new budget. And so, there would be something like that.
Oh, I agree. It just sooner or later that they're going to have to. I would suppose that they're going to want to get some sort of input from Gene and some sort of clear understanding of what that self-insurance might mean, other than just on the financial side of an expense item. But yeah, we would need to authorize that, whether it be in a budget modification or wait for the next budget authorization period at mid-budget.
Good point.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve airport staff's recommendation for airport flood storm insurance and provide the Director of Aviation authorization to proceed after informing the board with selection of the airport liability insurance as motion.
Is Mr. Lennon going to amend his motion to put a timeline for the objections for the board members? Because that wasn't in the original motion.
Sure. Yes.
Say, Gene,
Yes.
would it be a good idea for the motion to include a up to dollar amount on the award? And if it exceeded that dollar amount, it would have to be an agenda item, be brought back to the board. I'm just thinking about the procurement process, that's all.
Yes, I would agree.
Well, isn't the airport manager authorized to spend $50,000? Is it $50,000 or is it $100,000?
Well, it's gonna be less than 50,000 more, you think?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I mean, that number you said either 34 or 43 up there a minute ago.
Yeah, you're right, Craig.
So we just need the timeline.
Timeline's good. I'm in my motion.
For how many days or hours?
Well, a 3-day notice to post a meeting,
That'll be fine.
as the mayor recommended.
Ricky, do you agree with the modification? I think you were the second.
Yes, second the modified motion.
Do we have a first, second discussion on the modified motion? Assuming all board members understand the motion? If not, speak now. Then moving on with the vote, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed by like sign? Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, moving into the director's report, we continue. I know we've been doing this for a long time. Our ramp project, and you can see it's getting a lot greener. So the total project was $15.5 million. We spent to date nearly $12 million on this project. Most of the phases are complete. We're down there in the southwest region of the ramp area in purple. All the demo on that south end has started, of course, and we're about 60% complete with that demo. Mixing lime and treated subgrade is complete, and we're placing concrete treated base or cement treated base there. Concrete is about 40% complete. There has been some rain delays on this project, as you can imagine. Once you open up the soil, and we've had a lot of rain this last month, so it's got to dry out. So that's causing some delays. As you can see, the contractors, just a few days, 10 days over currently in the project. But again, I can't speak any higher of this company and what the work and the concrete that they're doing, the quality of the work. And I'd always say that I'd much better have quality and be a little over in days than have a lack of quality and make this timeline. So it's looking very good. The FedEx area, as you can see there, is completed. The concrete in that area, so FedEx is coming in to revamp and expand their sorting area there. They're actually mobilizing now to do so. So things are moving along with that project, and we're getting closer. The security checkpoint, wow, what a huge addition and that this has made. This picture does it very little justice, as it opens up the entire area. And as we discussed, it gives 25% more queuing space. It's going to give the room for the TSA to move into, removing all of those the equipment on the wall that you see up there in the upper right. That's all going to go. So right now you do have that choke point where people coming out of the checkpoint plus all that equipment, but that equipment gets moved over to the area where the old the exit lane was. So at this point, passengers, like we discussed before, from the south concourse and the north concourse will flow out through the old Morgan room. That picture on the left that shows the exit, that is the new gate. That's not Photoshop this time. And the bottom picture, of course, is the new exit lane area. Currently, we had a punch list items, a few small little things that we wanted to correct. I mean, they were just little things like some caulking issue and stuff like that. Milan is still working on the code base around the floor. That's a terrazzo. And I can't express my pleasure with this this addition and what it means to the airport and what it means to the passengers. I mean, it's good. It's just a good feel up there now. One of the things it did bring to mind, and for me at least, that from the North Concourse, now you can see straight out, straight across the checkpoint area. So you got a really good visual of what's going on at the checkpoint. Where's your flight from the if you're at the checkpoint for the North Concourse. And it kind of brought up an idea that maybe we need to get with Tailwinds and really talk about the news and gift on the other side, because those cabinets or the display areas are blocking the view and into the north or the south concourse. So I think it will really open things up as if we're able to think of another area for that gift area on the south concourse area, and you'll be able to see from one end of the concourse, from gate 1, kind of a visual room all the way down through, of course with the checkpoint there, but you'll be able to see completely down to gate 7, and I think it's going to give the feeling of a much bigger terminal building than it is, we're super excited about it. I know Ed's excited about it because he's going to gain the extra space. and able to increase the amount of throughput through the checkpoint. With that, we'll have the increase in the 25% increase in more queue space. So once the recovery is complete, it'll be a much better product and an open feeling for our customers. So very excited about this project, as you can tell. Any questions? Okay, I'm sorry, was there a question?
No, just giving you a thanks for the update. Let's go to the sidewalks.
Okay, the sidewalk has been a little problem at this point. We're not, or at least I'm not happy with the quality of the work that we're getting. We had this is the second job stop order. We're going to meet on Monday to talk about quality of this project again, and I'll let the board members know how that meeting goes on Monday. But we're working with Megamorphos, and again, we had the second. We've been pouring concrete on the near the FIS facility, so it's out of the way. It's just not a good look, and it's not a good quality. The finish, in particular, it's just not where it needs to be. And my thoughts are this concrete is going to be here for 50 years. It's the doorstep to our terminal building. We need to make sure it looks good, and I'm not happy with it. So we'll have that meeting, and I'll report back to the airport board via email, informational email, on what our decision is to move forward.
Who's the contractor, Mark?
M&M is the contractor, but it's the subcontractor that he has currently that is, and I don't have that name in the top of my head, but it's a subcontractor issue, and he's trying to work through it with the subcontractor. But again, this is a second stop order. We're just not where we need to be, and we have to discuss it. This really, we need to go back and redo all this. So.
What are we looking at here, Marv? Is this a before or an after?
Well, this is actually the replacement of the concrete, and I'm sorry the quality of the picture doesn't really show the color difference much, but the texture is wrong of what we've wanted. These lines, a lot of these lines in here, they just don't line up, and especially when you go down through here. This picture looks better than what it does when you're down there, because your eyeball line down through here, the jig jags and they don't line, they're not straight, and the finish just isn't right. So we wanted kind of a stone kind of look finish, like a printed or stamped concrete, and they used a roller, and really to me it looks like at this point that a tire just drove down through it. They left the print in it. It doesn't look like anything like we wanted to look. And again, you have these days and you have these projects, but we just don't. This concrete's going to be here forever, and I just want it to look perfect.
This is the contract that came in with a significant variation from NM to the next bidder, correct, in price?
That's correct.
Well, let us know how the meeting goes.
Will do.
Well, we appreciate your eye for this and your insistence on the quality of the work. Thank you.
Sure. We also continue to work with the CBP on our FIS facility. We've been going back and forth with them with the final drawings, layouts for security and cameras. They have door locks, electronic, and also cameras mostly on here. In their server room and in the holding cells, there's some areas that need to be improved in walls that have been upgraded. But we're working through this right now with them so that we can move forward with that project. So lots of communication back and forth between us and the CBP right now on this project. I know we have a kind of a quick update on the engine test cell on where we are. We had to order all the equipment. The Viper Analyzer box has arrived. That is here currently. FAA is on standby as soon as we receive the other equipment to actually get the certification. We ordered that equipment immediately after the board meeting that was approved to move forward. This is from a specialized contractor called Scanivalve, and they are a defense contractor as well. This COVID has caused them some issues in that all of their defense contracts must come first, and all of this equipment, these are the two main pieces of equipment, the liquid pressure base as well as the digital thermocouple scanner. Those two devices, along with a lot of specialized cords and adapters and things like that have to be built. At that time, they gave us a completion date and a ship date of October 2nd. We're hoping that still is true. I think, Ron, you might want to elaborate. You talked to him recently.
Yes, I have been in contact with Scanivalve about 3 times during this process. Originally, I believe the delivery date was 12 to 16 weeks. And it's because they have to, it's not just a matter of looking at this box. They had to order the parts and then they had to assemble it. My most recent contact with them was earlier this week, a couple of days ago, and they're still online for the delivery date.
What's the cost of this equipment?
Well, the two devices together, if you remember, I think we approved in a previous board member, I'm not sure if it was June or May or June, but it was right at, I think, 43. Is that correct, Ron?
That sounds approximately right. I don't have it in front of me, but that's about
43,000. Any other questions?
So upon receipt of this equipment, we start the 60-day clock for
certification. Yes, that's.
So we're to end the year with an FAA certification.
That is definitely the goal. We should have the certification pretty quickly after receiving all the equipment, getting installed, and like I said, the FAA is on standby, ready to get that certification to us once we're up and running and everything checks out.
And then once we have certification, we can offer this facility to, I'm assuming, individual businesses that are certified to use a facility like this.
Yeah, any qualified overhaul shop that wants to do their own engine testing.
Are we anticipating having to spend any more money than what we spent to date?
No, Bobby, we're not. I think this was the last of it. We're not anticipating anything additional.
Okay.
Okay, I just found the quote for Scanivalve, and it's a little over $15,000.
Yeah, but the combined two together, I thought we were at somewhere around 43, I think.
Yes, that would include the one from Tech, the Viper 2. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? We're getting there, guys. Hang in there. Well, that brings us up to the COVID-19 update. And of course, I wanted to tell everyone, I know there were some questions on what guidelines we're following, and it's been very confusing along the way, and I'm sure that Dan can vouch for that as the city trying to get through this as well. We're kind of a hybrid kind of thing, and as an airport, because a lot of federal regulations regulates what we do at the airport and what the state and local community can enforce on the airports. But at the same time, we want to abide and keep everyone safe as well. So there is no federal regulation governing our policies and procedures to mitigate, and do safety measures here at airports. But we do follow the CDC guidelines. There were certain state and local requirements along the way that, including facial coverings, social distancing, in the airport and in restaurants in the airport, and we have accomplished all those recommendations and mandates with no problem. All airlines and airports are following CDC guidelines to the best of their ability. There is just nothing nationwide, statewide, or local that is really specifically address airports. But I think that we rose to the occasion in a lot of ways. Airline safety measures, cleaning. I put that picture there as the airlines are trying to get the word out of how the air conditioning system works inside an aircraft. And as you can see, most of the air comes out the top of the aircraft and pushes down, and it's received underneath the aircraft. It is actually, they have a discharge on both, you can see on both sides there, front and aft of the aft and bow. I don't know what to call it there, but in this one, but discharged air goes out and fresh air comes in as well, and all this air that's coming back from the cabin goes through HEPA filters to help catch any type of bacteria and or virus. So what we talked about earlier, and I know we've kind of beat this up a lot, but each airline has a little bit different way of handling things. All carriers have implemented safety measures, but some of them are a little bit different as it's their interpretation and of the CDC recommendations. There's scheduled cleaning, specialized cleaning of all aircraft every night, and I've seen all different types, from robots that go through to static sprayers, disinfectant, but all airlines are doing some form of really deep cleaning and sanitizing their aircraft in the evening. When they come in, I've noticed here as well, particularly at Southwest, I notice it and know it for a fact, but once all the passengers debark, is that right? They leave the aircraft, and then the crew goes in there and they do wipe everything down and sanitize as well for each flight. So those things are happening, particularly at Southwest, and I'm sure at other carriers as well. Temperature checks for passengers and employees. There is temperature checks for employees at many of the carriers here. I believe Frontier is the only one that is actually mandating temperature checks for employees. I'm sorry, for passengers currently, but I'm not positive of all air carriers. And again, that's why I would refer you as well as all of our passengers to go to these websites and check out exactly what the carrier you're flying is doing to secure your safety. There is reduced capacity at several of the airlines. Southwest, as we talked about earlier, has reserved the middle seat, and that goes on to the end of November. Where they're not going to book the middle seat in order to have some social distancing on the aircraft. Other carriers, particularly some small regional jets, have very little ability to do that, so you're not going to see that on some of those aircraft. Masks are, however, required by all airlines at this point. That is not a federal mandate, I don't believe, by any means, but it's been adopted by all aircraft. If you don't have a mask, you don't fly, and the airlines do have masks if you don't have one. Some of the airlines as well, particularly Southwest. I know you've seen some of the masks with a filter on the side, and I believe United is the same way. They will not let you fly with that filtered mask on the side. Have that open filter or whatever. I'm not so sure, but their experts have told them that they can't do that mask. It's got to be a complete mask with no breathe filter on it. So that's another thing that's going for some of the airlines and not others. Again, all the airlines are built similarly, and they all have HEPA filters that I know of, at least all the ones that are flying here. So that's really, I know the airlines, again, are trying to get the message out on all the safety, but that's about all I can tell you about airline safety measures at this point. Is there any questions?
Are restaurants and just other establishments open at most airports just kind of to the same level they used to be before, or a lesser?
Well, there's definitely not the same level here or at other airports. There is the social distancing requirement. They're meeting those type of recommendations from the CDC. But because of the lack of passengers or the downturn in passengers, it doesn't make sense to keep them all open and staffed. So, there are several of them, including Tailwinds here, that does not have the downstairs restaurant open. There's just not that many meeters and greeters on any given day at this point. So that's actually been closed, and we're moving upstairs, and they have the restaurant upstairs open for all flights, and the bar area, I believe, and certain flights. And so everything is, again, social distance and kind of takeout as well. We continue to work on the restaurant, the Pelican Grill on the north end of the concourse. That should be opening up by October 1st, or just in the first part of October if everything goes all right. So we're looking forward to that, getting that open and moving forward there as well.
Is there any kind of reporting mechanism where you would find out if somebody on your flight had COVID?
I think it goes back to the trace testing. If the airlines would be notified or are notified, and I'm not sure, I have to really do some research on that, Julie, and I'd be happy to do that. I know somebody in the airline industry, so they should be able to tell me. But I'm not positive how that's happening. If it's going through the CDC, if there is an aircraft flight that there's somebody test positive on, that they would notify the other passengers. But let me do a little research on that and get back with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Just an additional thing on the situation of the air in the cabin. The Boeing and the Airbuses, on every 3 minutes, or every 3 minutes, you know,
I'm not sure if everyone could hear. Jose was a little muffled there, but he's saying that on some of these aircraft, the 737s, they recirculate the air every 3 minutes, so it's going through that HEPA filter, and new air is being old air discharged, new air is coming in as well to mix with that every 3 minutes. So the cabin air circulates as new air every 3 minutes in there. So that's one of the things I know that the airlines as well are pushing out there. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. So from our standpoint, of course, we've gone over this many times, so I won't harp on any of it, but we're going to, again, have an interview next week to go over this, and this is going to be part of our marketing strategy. And as I stated, that there's no federal guidelines, there's no federal mandates or regulations, but there are CDC guidelines that we've implemented here at the airport. And again, I think we went over this last time as well. We had the Harlingen Health Inspector, Josh Ramirez, come through. I think he was very, very pleased at everything we did. He had a few recommendations on hand sanitizer placement, and those recommendations have been made. We have the social distancing on the floor. We have the barriers at all ticket counters and podiums. More importantly, we have the barriers in the queue lines that have been very well received as well. At the between the TSA and the passenger that's dispositing their bag for screening, their checked-in baggage. So we've done a lot. More barriers, as well as social distancing in the seating area in the restaurant upstairs, the Padre Grill. We have, of course, the message on our big board for health and safety tips while traveling. Our people continue their disinfected. So as you can see there by the gentleman on the lower left, one of our janitorial folks, they are diligently going in behind aircraft and making sure that they sanitize those high-touch surface areas on the seats and inside the gate areas. One thing that I think that sets us apart from other airports is the addition of the UV light inside of all our air handler units. We did that a few years back in the HVAC upgrade project in order to ensure that we don't have the mildew smell, from humidity in the area in the terminal building. And boy, I'll tell you, I've got a pretty good nose on me. My wife even has a better nose, but the terminal building smells darn good. Walking in, it doesn't have that musty smell it used to have. So, we continue to put all these things in place and maintain them. It's a lot of work for our people, but they're doing a great job in making sure that they're the front line against the coronavirus spread inside our terminal building. So moving on to the director's report, if there's no questions, there's a lot of events, a lot of meetings, most of them it's online, but we did have a AFLAC open enrollment meeting recently. That was done with social distancing and as well as over a period of time instead of everybody coming up at once. We do continue to, I continue to be on the City of Harles's COVID response Zoom meeting Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays every time I get there and a chance to be there. Had a meeting with Chief Rubio, the fire chief, on August 27th, discussing ARF program. Meeting with Dan Cerna. We meet with Dan all the time. We go over a lot of things that are going on in the airport as well as in the city, so that we're in tune with each other. The TCAA board meeting that was just I was there on that yesterday. And that's a great place again for us to compare ourselves and see what other airports are doing in the state of Texas. Again, we're all learning as we go. Orlando?
Yeah, 1 second. On your report with Chief Rubio, did you and Chief Rubio or current staff engage in the first quarterly audit of our ARF training?
There was a quarterly audit of the ARF training, yes. Overall, the program is doing great. Like I think I've said in an informational response to everyone that, we continue to adapt the program and working with the city and particularly with the ARF captain, Captain Wenzel, and doing a fantastic job, and it's only going to get better. But it went through the ARF training. There was a few items that were just noted to, hey, maybe we can do something better here. But overall, I think it was a good meeting, and it's doing exactly what we intended to do to catch anything or give other suggestions on how to make things better. So. We're now looking at, and I agree, Dan had an idea of making sure that we have some kind of syllabus, some kind of booklet, that shows exactly how our program goes, sort of like a teacher or professor has for their class throughout the year. I thought it was a great idea, and the Captain Wenzel is now working on that and putting that together. So if Captain Wenzel moves on or something happens, that somebody else comes in and can pick up that syllabus and proceed right along, and to, kind of make it as seamless as possible. So lots of good things happening there. I'm very excited and confident that we're going to deliver a great inspection next spring, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Marv. Any further questions? Marv, if you'll just include in next month's agenda a specific item on the ARF training audit, I'd appreciate it. Just an update from Danny Coyle or from the audit committee. I think there are specific members on that audit committee. It'd be good to have that report from you.
We can sure do that. They had the audit, but I don't have that report yet, so I really can't comment. Just what I'm hearing. I know that there were some suggestions and things made. Yeah, I can definitely add that too and keep you up to date.
with that, then next agenda item is executive session for discussion, seek attorney's advice and possible action, Government Code 551072, Texas Government Code to review the airport rental accommodation program, RAP. Do we have a motion?
Session.
Second, Bergoncilio.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of going into executive session to discuss it on the agenda, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Marv, we're in executive session. Let us know when the technology lets us manage that.